Thank you very much. Thank you for everyone that's here. And it's a wonderful vibe, a wonderful energy. And I'm so excited to be here to share what I can. The Rebbe once sent me through the Igris a message that said, whenever I come to New York, I should farbring. I should do something with what I'm busy with, like Shidduch and whatever it is. So I'm here to share. It didn't cost you a penny. You all came because you want to learn and gain a little bit of, even if one person, something had, let me know if I made an impact on one thing at all, it would be worthwhile. Just one thing, one change, one good thing came out of tonight, it's worth it all. Okay, number one, I told you I have 33 points. My number one, Hashem, I'm here to give you strength and I'm here to give you practical tips. Hashem could do anything in a split second. You know, I had 14 kids. I have 14 children. And I gave birth 14 times. I didn't have twins. They were 14 births, okay? And I know what it's like when the baby needs to be born, that certain moment. So anyone that's a mother here would know what I'm talking about. It won't be any sooner. It won't be any later. It's exactly that moment when the baby needs to be born. That split second is when it happens. So too with a Shidduch. It's exactly the same. When a Shidduch is meant to happen, it's going to happen exactly that moment that Hashem knows and needs it to happen. It won't be a day earlier and it won't be a day later. It'll be exactly that moment. But we need to do things to help make it happen. You can't just sit back and relax and say, one day it'll happen, I'll wait, it'll come to me. I'm waiting for that phone call. We got to do stuff. Even if your mother says, listen, I'm taking care of all your shidduchim, you go do what you got to do. You still need to do some things. Make a keli, do something, okay? And I'll tell you what is possible, okay? And I'm gonna share with you, as I explained earlier, and if you have a chance to look at my website, which is in the book over here, in the website I have tons and tons of stuff for singles and for mothers, for everyone to do shidduchim. One of the things that might be in there, and if not, I could send it to you, is this whiteboard I was talking about, where I put everybody into columns, right? Red, blue, green, yellow, orange. I just want to show you how Hashem does things, okay? How Hashem runs the world. I made a section called the yellow section for people with special needs. They weren't your ordinary person. The girl was born paralyzed when she was born with just one hand. She came out from birth with one paralyzed hand, plus like 5 other things that went wrong with her. And this is what happened. She found me on Instagram. I'm on Instagram. I didn't even know how to do it. My daughter helped me do it. She goes, Ma, you got to go on there. You never know. So I believe that Hashem needs all the channels to make it happen. So this girl finds me on Instagram. She calls me up and she goes, I like what you're saying. Can I have an interview? So I gave her an interview. She says, but I have one problem, Mrs. Leader, is that I have a paralyzed hand. So it's going to be really hard to find me a shidduch. Like, who's going to want that? I said, don't worry. Relax. If Hashem sent you to me through Instagram, it's possible I have the shidduch for you. I believe so strongly because I could tell you tonight 50 stories of such. So I put her in my chart and I put on the yellow zone because those are the special cases, special people that I really want to help more than all the rest. And I put her there. And she's from somewhere in New Jersey. A few weeks later, I get a call from a boy. He not even Chabad, by the way, they're both not Chabad. They're ordinary people, ordinary Litvish, if you want to call them, just regular. And this boy calls me and says, I hang around the Chabad shul sometimes. Somebody said you made their son shidduch, so I need a shidduch. Can you interview me? I said, sure. If you're coming to me, then it's a sign that Hashem, it's all Hashem. I believe in Hashgacha. I see Hashem running the show. So I'll take you. So I interview him and I put him. After a while, I see that he's a special needs person. Something about him was not ordinary. I put him in the yellow section. And I like every week, I say, Hashem, I'm going to go to the yellow section because they all don't believe they're going to get married. They have so little hope in themselves. So I always like to go there and try. I tried. And I look and I see a few weeks earlier, there's her and there's him. I go, you know what, maybe he won't mind her paralyzed hand because he works with special needs kids in Muncie. He's like an aide in a special school. I go, if he has sensitivity for special needs, he might even not mind. So I recommend, and I swap profiles with both of them, and she says, halavai, halavai. And he said, she looks like a fine girl. I said, I have to tell you about her. One hand doesn't work. And he said, so that's his answer. They dated. She comes back after the first date. She says, Mrs. Leader, I'm so scared. When am I supposed to tell him the other 5 things that I've got? Schizophrenia, I've got bipolar, I've got and 5 different things. Serious stuff. I said, listen, wait. The 3rd or 4th date, you start one thing at a time. Don't give him everything. She says, but he's going to let me, he's so nice and he's going to not want me. I said, this is my line, okay? I want you to remember this one motto. If he's your bashert, he won't mind. She says, okay, fine. She comes back from that date. She goes, Mrs. Leader, he said he didn't mind. I said, excellent. She goes, can I do the next thing? So the next date, she comes back and she said he didn't mind. And each date, it was fine with him. And they ended up getting married. And they are my biggest nachas. And I say, Hashem, I really believe in you. Because Hashem sent me these 2 people. Most of, like 90% of the people I work with are Chabad. 10% are not. And they're from that 10% random that found me on Instagram, and he found me from some shul, somebody said. And they're meant to be for each other, and nobody else was going to put them together. And Hashem said, you know what, I see Toby's on the computer, she's working on it, I'll give her the idea. And Hashem throws me the idea, because I'm doing it all day. Nobody's home. Everyone's out of the house by me. And that's what I do all day. I go to sleep with ideas. I wake up in the middle of the night and I go to my husband, I got it. You know who we should do for this one, for that? He doesn't mind because his wife is happy. I'm so elated. That's my life. I'm married to making Shidduch and I love it. And most of them don't work out. But when this one worked out, I said it's worth everything. You know, this was the Shidduch of, and every year they send me on their anniversary this big, thank you, and they're standing there together and they're smiling and they call me in the video and they're in touch.
He was special also?
No, he was just a special needs person.
He was normal?
Yeah, a little bit not. A little off. Special needs, yeah. So, what I want to say is the Eibishter has his ways of getting people together, and even Shadchanim that take profiles, and I've done this for 30 years. I take profiles and then I pick up one and I go, oh, you know what? I just got this one, maybe, like that, and it works. And I didn't do anything. I didn't interview, nothing, garnished, and it worked, right? It works, some of those. Because Hashem decides the time. Okay, this is my message for number 1. There's a time for everyone, for everything to happen. And we can't make it go faster or shorter. Okay, so how about hold on to it and at the end, so I can keep going, or else I'll never cover. That's just number 1. The timing is very specific. Hashem has it in mind. He didn't forget about you. And there will be the right time for you, for it to happen. Like Shelley said with the splitting of the sea, it's going to happen exactly at the right moment, when it needs to be. That's my number 1 message. Number 2, I go to a barbecue, I was living in Melbourne for a few years, and somebody invited us just when we arrived. I come into the house, just to show you how Hashem works. I come to the house just like a chandelier guy or somebody that sells plants notices plants wherever they go. So I notice singles wherever I go. Wherever I go, who's that? Right? Shadchanim do that. Who's that? So I come to this house for this barbecue, a strange family. I never met them before. And I see this girl like 18, 19 years old. And I go, who's she? And the lady says, oh, that's my daughter. She just came back from seminary. I go, what's her name? And she said, her name. I go, oh, you know what? She'd be perfect for, and it's almost like I scanned her for like 2 seconds. I said, she'd be perfect for, and it was my nephew that lives in Sydney. She'd be perfect for my nephew. And she goes, like, how do you know? Like, why? I said, I don't know. I just have this feeling like she'd be good for him. Why don't you look into him? And I gave his name over, and I called up my sister, and I said, I got a girl for your son. Da, 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 da. And 3 weeks later, they were engaged. Where'd that come from? I didn't even know her name. I'm just showing you that Hashem has a timing for when things happen, and it just happens when it's the right time. Like the baby gets born like that. I've had a baby born 8 weeks early, and it was meant to be 8 weeks early. That's a lot early. 6 weeks early, I'm sorry. In the middle of a shopping center, I was shopping with my sister, and all of a sudden, emergency, and that was my number 14, by the way. And he's healthy and well and good and happily married, but I'm just saying his timing was 6 weeks early, like Hashem has his ways, okay? So hold on to that thought. Now I'm going to tell you another one. I'm on Chabad Match, and Chabad Match sends out to Shadchanim, and sometimes maybe to the singles as well, ideas that come up in an algorithm. You know what an algorithm is? It's the computer that makes a shidduch. It's not even a person. They put in all the males, all the females, and the computer says, okay, this looks like a good match for this one. Really. Now, it's not a joke even, but let me go back to 4 years ago. I get in my email, I open up my email in the morning, and I see this girl, Rivka, with this guy, Chani. He's in Ottawa, Canada. She's in Sydney, Australia, Rivka. And he's in another part of the world. And the computer thinks they're a match. So I sent the whole thing straight to the mother of the girl, Rivka. And I said, you know what? The computer thinks this is a good match for your daughter. She said, hey, my husband knows him. The father. He went to school with the father. I think it's a good idea. Ask them. So I sent the whole thing to the boy, which I don't know. I only knew the girl. I sent it to them, and they said, okay, we'll look into it. Anyway, long story short, they dated, and they're happily married with 2 children living in Florida. And the Eibishter found a way through an algorithm. Don't play it down and say it's a joke or it's ridiculous or it's silly, but it worked. And just now, this past month, I put it all over, so some of you might have seen it. It actually just came out in the newsletter, in the Shea newsletter, the last page, my story that I'm going to share with you right now. So this one boy in Sydney, 30 years old, I've been trying for 5 years to find him someone. Garnish, nobody, we don't know. Nobody in Sydney, nobody in Melbourne. Is he going to go to America? Like where? Where could he be? Where could she be? Anyway, somebody said to him, why don't you put your profile in Chabad Match? Because then everybody around the whole world will see it, have access to it, and somebody might say, hey, he's perfect for this one. Maybe. 1 week, he did it. 1 week later, he gets an algorithm. And he comes to me with it because I'm a shadchan, and he says, Mrs. Leader, this girl looks really good for me. She's in South Africa. It's way on the other side of the world from Australia. But it looks really good. Can you find out about her? So I call her shadchan, who I knew, and I contact her and I say, this guy's interested, da-da-da-da. Long story short, they dated on Zoom. Don't play it down. Zoom dating. You know what I'm talking about? Dating on Zoom if you're in 2 different continents. They dated on Zoom, and every time he came back from a date, he said, it's so scarily good. He kept using the word, it's so scary good. It's like so good, like we knew each other forever. Long story short, he goes down to South Africa like 3 weeks later and gets engaged to her, and they're about to get married like in 2 weeks. All from an algorithm. Don't dismiss it so fast, because the Eibishter has a way. He uses tools and vehicles to make it happen. Hashem, we have to just trust that he's got your guy somewhere, and he'll find a way to get him to you. But we got to do something. You see this guy, he had to do something. He had to go to Chabad Match and put in his profile. Until he did that, how's he going to find that girl in South Africa? That's his real match. I'm just saying, we got to do things. We can't just hope, okay? Next, I love the saying, if you keep doing what you're doing, you'll keep getting what you got. Can I say it again? If you keep doing what you're doing, you'll keep getting what you got until now. So it's about time we change. Let's do something different. Let's take on one new thing, and I'll give you 10 ideas coming up now, if you bear with me, okay? So take on one change, if not all 10. It depends how much you want to change. But if you keep doing the same thing, you'll keep getting the same thing. So I love that saying. So I'm going to tell you one thing that really works. Those that I interview, that I personally interview, like I said, I have 400 people in my database. They have to, Shelley, can you remind everybody to take a name to pray? Thank you. Thank you. They have to remind me every 2 weeks, till the day they're engaged, they have to remind me that they exist. If you don't remind me that you exist, that you're alive and kicking, if you don't remind me that you exist, I forget about you because I have 399 other people that are going to remind me. So I have enough to keep me busy. When I get your message, which is just one word, available, we're busy. If you're dating, let me know you're dating. If you're not dating and you want something, some action, just write the word available to me every 2 weeks till the day you're engaged. I will look at my chart. I told you I have 400 people on there. I turn around, it's right there behind me. I go, okay, who do I have for Shelley? Let me see. And I look at the age and I go to the color zone. Take a bunch.
Yeah.
That's my
Maybe.
question. So once they're 30,
taking over.
we don't get the colors just bunched up all together?
No, it's according to age as well.
So
Yeah.
you have two colors. Oh,
Yeah.
well, question.
Sorry. So, when I get that phone call, when I get a WhatsApp message that says available, I get to work for 10 minutes. So you have somebody working for you for 10 minutes every 2 weeks till the day you're engaged, okay? That's my commitment, but you need to make that. Now, why am I telling you this? You're not being interviewed by me now, right? Why am I telling you this? This is something you could do with your shadchan. All of you have a shadchan, I'm sure, that you're in contact with, right? Somebody that your mother calls or you're in touch with. Be in touch with them every 2 weeks. That's my message. Send them a WhatsApp with one word. I'm available. Hi. Put a little wave. Hi, I'm available. They need to be reminded. They will not remember you because they have 50 or 100 other people they're working with that do remind them. And I have a group in my WhatsApp called Nudgers. And I give everybody permission to be a nudger. I say, they say, I don't want to nudge you and send you every 2 weeks. I'll be nudged. I say, I give you permission. I'm giving you the right to contact me every 2 weeks. Send me a message. And those that do, I remember them. And when a name comes up, like the opposite of, like let's say it's a girl looking for a guy, and the guy comes up, I go, huh, and it's fresh on my mind because they just contacted me 2 weeks ago. So let me tell you a story of such, okay? Right before Corona, true story. A girl called Hannah living in Toronto, and the guy called Shalom living in Crown Heights, okay? Both Chabad people. Now, it's right before Corona and everything shut down. Both the mother of both of them, okay, they're both young. They were like 20 and 22, very young. So both of their mothers were running the show for them. They weren't in touch with me. The mothers were. I interviewed both of them, but the mother kept in touch with me. And I said to the mothers, you need to contact me every 2 weeks, or your kid. Okay, so the mothers, two mothers, turned out that every second Thursday at 2:15, around 2 o'clock, I was getting a message from one mother, available, and then from the other mother, available. And I'm looking, after 3 times this happening, the same 2 mothers contact me on a Thursday afternoon. I go, hey, this could be a match. Let me look at their deal breakers. And I check it out, and it turned out to be a great match. So just because they reminded me on the same day, the same hour, right? So they both agree, they like the profiles, and they say, yes, okay, she's going to come into New York. As soon as she gets on the phone to make the call, they shut down the borders of Toronto for Corona. It just happened. And we go, woo, what do we do? And then I said, I heard there's such a thing as Zoom dating. Let's try it. So they got on Zoom, the 2 of them. This is what happened. This is early March 2020. 18 dates on Zoom before they opened the borders again. And it went so well. They were dating 3 times a week, like every other day, like Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And each time, let me just give you a tip in case you're in such a situation where you're Zoom dating. What they did, and I learned from them, is they didn't know it would go on for 18 times, but they didn't want to let go, right? Because it was going well. Every single Zoom date, they created another activity. So he said to me after each date, okay, can you tell her to bring a canvas and some oil paints? And we're going to do some painting the next date. So they both painted something during the date. And that's how they did their dates instead of just talking away that many. So they painted. The next time he said, because he was in touch with me between each date, can you tell her to bring the following ingredients we're going to bake, and we're going to have a coffee date. And so they bake cakes, and the next time they did something else, and kugel and whatever. They kept coming up with brilliant ideas. I made a whole list of it if you want it. So it's great. It's a great way to get to know someone. It's not the ultimate, but for Corona it was good. Finally, the borders open. And everybody was nervous, like everybody, like they were, the parents were like, what's going to happen when they meet in person? What's if they don't like each other? Like, who knows? They invested so much, but they went out for a week, came to town, went out for a week and all like this the whole week. And thank God, Baruch Hashem, they got engaged and married, happily married. Just to show you, how did Hashem make that shidduch? He sent both of them to me to be interviewed, and both mothers really kept to the T of contacting me every 2 weeks. So if you don't contact me, you fall off the charts. And some people will come to me after 6 months, Mrs. Leader, I did the interview and I don't hear from you. I said, listen, don't you remember? If you don't do your part, I can't chase 400 people every day. So if you have a shadchan, contact her every 2 weeks, but don't drive her crazy with long sentences. Just write, hi, I'm available. Remind her that you exist. That's my message. Okay? Now, the Rebbe says, or somebody says, I'm not going to quote the Rebbe, I'm not positive, but it's coming from a good higher source that we should do one thing a day towards our Shidduch. One thing a day, and I'll give you ideas. You could give 1 penny extra a day and say, this is for my shidduch. You could help a kala that's preparing for her l'chaim and say, you know what, that's for my shidduch. One thing a day. And if you're a mother, as a mother, you could do one thing a day. You could call a different shadchan. You could speak to your friend at the grocery store when you bump into her and say, you know what, I didn't do my one thing a day. Let me ask her if she knows anybody for my son. We need to create, and I'll give you ideas what you could do for that one thing a day. I remember I was told that, you know what, I'm sitting in Sydney, Australia. This is my daughter, my oldest daughter, she's 45 years old, okay, 45 years old. So I don't know what year, 1980 something. And she turned 18 years old, and I go to we're sitting in Sydney, right? It's in Eckveld. It's like a forest in the corner of the world. Like, there are no guys there or girls there. I mean, there were some bachurim for yeshiva they brought out, but that's it. And they were learning. So, like, where are we going to find her shidduch? So she turns 18, and I say, that's it. I need to find her shidduch. I'm going to open up the egress and ask the Rebbe. The Rebbe has to help, because the Rebbe said, shluchim are his children. I'm going to cry out to my father. He's my father. He said, we're his children. He's going to help me. So I open up the egress one Friday night and I say, Rebbe, my daughter just turned 18. Where do I find her shidduch? Is he in China? Is he in Russia? Is he in London? Is he in England? I don't know where he is. Rebbe, please help. It was a Friday night, so I didn't even write. I was just talking. And I meant it from my heart. And I open up the egress, and it's 1:00 in the morning, and I call my husband. I go, okay, now tell me what the Rebbe says. Because the answer is here, I believe strongly. So the answer was written to a lady called Zlata Althaus. An old lady, she must have been in her 90s, and she was one of the founders of Kfar Chabad. An old lady. She was also the town shadchan. So my husband reads, and the Rebbe is giving her a whole bracha, the Zlata Althaus, and I keep reading. I go, okay, the only thing I can get from here is that Chayla, my daughter, should go to Kfar Chabad and meet this Zlata Althaus. So maybe we have to send her there. Maybe the shidduch is there. And then I say, before I contact Zlata Althaus and send her, she was actually in seminary in Beis Rivka. So before I send her anywhere, I'm going to call up Mrs. Althaus, which is a relative of mine, my niece, Shterni Althaus. It's her mother-in-law. So I'm going to call her mother-in-law, okay? And she'll tell me how to get a hold of Zlata so I can send my daughter to Kfar Chabad, right? So I call up my niece, Shterni Althaus, and I say, Shterni, I need the phone number of your mother-in-law because I need to get a hold of Zlata Althaus. She says, what for? I said, it's interesting, but I opened up the egress and I'm looking for Chayla for Shidduch. She goes, a Shidduch for Chayla? She lives by me in Sydney, by the way. So she says, I got the Shidduch for her. I didn't know she was ready. He's right here. He comes every Tuesday night to learn with my husband. He's the greatest guy. His name's Yossi. And da, da, da. I said, listen, I don't know him. I never heard of him. I said, if he was a great bach, I would have heard of him. She goes, I'm telling you. And then her husband gets on, and they did everything in their power to convince me that he's the right guy for Chayla. And I go, okay, let me look into him. And I made the number of phone calls, and we find out he's right here in Sydney, a bacher. Okay, fine. And we made all the phone calls, and we made the connection, and they were the Shadchan. That's the first Shidduch they ever made. And sure enough, we bring Chayla back home, and that was her Shidduch. And they're happily married, and they're grandparents today. I've got great grandchildren because of them, Baruch Hashem. How did that Shidduch come about? I thought she's going to run. We got to do our part. That's my message. We got to do our part. I opened up the egress and I dug. We can't just sit back and say, whatever, it'll come. Or we got to do one thing a day, okay? Next. I was telling this woman right next to me, your name is again? Yehudis Chana. I was talking to her about the deal breakers. I think I was telling you, or maybe it was you. I forgot. Okay, one of you. About the deal breakers. This I did with Shelley, 5 deal breakers. What I do, the interview. These 5, if you do it for yourself or you do it with your single that you need to get married, you do it. Make sure you know what your deal breakers are, those 5 things. And it's good to do the exercise to do 20 first and take off 5 and take off another until you see what your real 5 are, the ones that you can't touch. Okay, you have to test yourself. When you realize what your 5 deal breakers, let me tell you the beauty of it, okay? The beauty of it is in between every time you go out on a date, you come back to your 5 deal breakers and you say, does he qualify? I never found out if he's responsible or if he's generous or if he goes out of his way for I didn't find out. I really need to check that one out. I don't know if he's honest. Now I have to do the honest story. I have to talk to him about honesty. So that is your checklist for dating. But can I tell you one more thing that it's good for? Everybody loves it when I tell it to them. You take your 5, and when you get married, hang it up in your wardrobe. And anytime you're about to get into a little dispute or argument with your husband, your spouse, whatever, something is not going right, a disagreement, you go into the closet and you read those 5 deal breakers and you go, you know what? I could let him off because he's got the most important things. He's got what really matters. It's okay, I don't mind. And you come out like a new person because you'll remember why you married him in the first place. And that everybody loves. I want you to take that home with you. Okay. I'm up to number 7. Second date. Super important to give yourself the chance, even if you're positive he's not for you, unless one condition. I'll wait until the noise stops in the background. Okay? Unless it's disgusting to you, like you're disgusted, you're gonna vomit. Like, unless it's that bad. If it's not bad and it's neutral and it's okay-ish, give it a second shot, because I will tell you, and I could sit here all night and tell you so many stories where people dated one time and they said, no, not for me. And when they were convinced to go a second time, it was a whole new person. I could tell you a whole night full of stories, and it turned out to be their bashert. So that is my biggest recommendation. Always give it a second shot, no matter what. Okay, next. I've gotten profiles from people. Profile resume, by the way, that's one of the, in my opinion, that's one of the causes. It's my opinion. It's not the truth. It's just my opinion. One of the biggest causes of the Shidduch crisis is the profile. Because people look at the picture, forget about what's written in there. It's all copy-paste, everybody's profile, right? It's all the same thing. Nice, good-hearted, da-da-da. But the picture, now I get the most great, the most honorable people looking at a profile. Why are they looking? I don't know. They're 25, so they're doing it already themselves, and they look at it and they go, no, I don't feel it. It's not talking to me. And I am I go, oh my gosh, like, I can't, they're going to be forever looking till they get the right picture, and that's not even who the person is. It's a fake cover-up of who they really are. So I try to convince them. So this is really disturbing the whole Shidduch. Like we said, let's go back to the old-fashioned way where there's no profiles, and you just go because somebody recommended and thinks it's good. The whole profile thing is killing it, but because we can't fight City Hall, we can't fight the system, we got to do it. I've never had someone say, you know what, don't show me your profile, don't show me your picture, I'll listen to whatever you say. I mean, maybe I did have one out of like hundreds. But everybody's asking for a profile and everybody's asking for a picture, so you got to play the game, right? Even if it's a false world, we got to play the false world game. So what I say, if you're going to have to make a profile, the presentation should be the top that you can. Not fake. Don't fake it. Just make it the most. I've had presentations of a profile that came written in pencil, like 10 lines of things, like the name, the school he went to, and 2 references written in pencil, like that. Here, Mrs. Leader. And I say, you know what? No effort put in. I can't share that with anybody. They're going to look at it and say, he's sloppy, he's messy, he has no time yet, he's not serious. It tells a lot about you. I just want you to know, you may not agree with me, but the profile is going to tell everything about you, and unfortunately, it's not fair. So I have a new thing that I started. I don't want to say half anymore. A lot of you won't like it, and a lot of you may think it's great. That's my personal, nobody else does this, and nobody asks for it, I do it. It's my own unique request. And a lot of people, a lot of people enjoy and want to do it, and a lot of people say, no, not me. And in this room, I would say, some will say yes and some will say no. And what do? I say, because this is in the interview, I'm telling them, you know what, because the profile and the picture is not going to do you great justice, it doesn't do anybody great justice, how about you make me a 2-minute video clip, okay? Don't jump. It's not going to go digital and it's not going to go online. What I do is I encourage them and I show them a sample. They see a sample of what it should be. For 1 minute, you say, hi, I'm Toby Leader, I'm 26 years old, and what I'm most passionate about is teaching kindergarten and, seeing a smile on those kids' faces. And what I'm looking for, so 1 minute about what you're passionate about and 1 minute about what you're looking for, just for 1 minute. So the whole thing is 2 minutes. Let me tell you what I do with it. When it's time to exchange profiles and you agree that, I'm interested in that profile, I will ask permission. I will say, since you provided me with the video, it will enhance your chances for them to like what you have. So can I show them, and I go on Zoom or FaceTime, I never send it, can I show them your 2-minute clip with their permission? And they're happy already to do it because they're saying yes to share the profile. Yeah, you could do that. So like I say, some people love it and they do it, and I have a lot of 2-minute clips in the file, in the database. And some people say, no, I'm embarrassed, I'm ashamed. And some people do it like 5 times, and I say, nope, fix that. No, be a bit more loose, be a bit more yourself, put more passion, and I'll help them for 5 or 10 times to get it right. So in my database, I have a number of little video clips waiting to be shared when I present their profile, and I will only show it like that. So it never gets sent. Everybody's afraid it's going to go viral.
You could do it one time on WhatsApp.
Sorry?
You could do a one-time video on WhatsApp.
So people can
Yeah.
screenshot.
But I need it for other ones in case one doesn't work.
Or maybe it's a video.
So that's what I do in order to help. And by the way, it's already 2 years I'm doing this, and I have 13 couples that are married today because of the video. 13 couples that they said no. And I said, wait, I'm going to convince her to present a video. And I called the girl and I said, listen, the guy said no, but I know that you're a good team because I interviewed you Can we just show him, please do it's worth it. And she'll do it. And I'll show, and he'll say, yeah, Mrs. Lita, you're right. She's cute. Okay, fine, I'll go out with her. And that was his bashert. So 13 couples got married today because of the video. I believe in it, but it has to be done right. I'm just sharing it with you that it could help. And you could even add it on to your profile and say to the shadchan that you trust, only show it when, in order to enhance your chances. Because I feel bad. The mothers are making judgments. They say, no, she's too nerdy, and not what he's looking for. And judgments, it's
Because
horrible.
there is no energy. It's just like,
It's just black and white and cold. It's not who the person is.
Yeah.
I have in my website a sample of two people, a boy and a girl. His name is Mendel, her name is Ayelet. Separately, that they are a sample of how to make this 2-minute profile. And I put up Mendel on a video. He gave me permission last year when I was here, or 2 years ago when I was here. I got somebody for $100, put up a big screen, a huge screen, and they showed these two clips of Mendel and Ayelet, the girl and the boy, to show how they do it. And afterwards, I had like 100 women in the room. About 10 ladies lined up and said, I know somebody for this Mendel, not for Ayelet, but for this Mendel. She wasn't Lubavitch, so it was a Lubavitch crowd. And he got like 10 offers. And I tried to set him up. He's not married yet, so he's the sample. If you get to see it, he's still available. But he's such a guy that really doesn't mind his video like everybody. As long as I get married, if I could help someone. Actually, he helped me create what's called the dating game. And I'll get to it in case we forget. It's number 20. In case we forget, he created the dating game. He makes apps. He creates apps. He's an engineer. This Mendel, okay? If you know anybody from him, let me know. Anyway, so I created this dating game. It's 200 questions, and you take it with you on the date. What do? You cut out each one, fold it, and put it into a little gift bag, and you bring it on the around the second or third date, if you're both very happy to see each other again. Like if you want to move forward in this shidduch, if it's going well and you want to get to know him well, this will take like 10 dates worth in the dating game, playing the dating game. I made it up, it took like a year. I did it with my sister. We came up with 200 open-ended questions. You cut out, it's in my website, so you don't have to ask me for it. It's there. You just go there and you'll find it. Cut out each question, fold it, bring it in as a surprise and say to whoever you're dating, I brought this great game. It's called a dating game. And you ask a question. You pick out random. You say, hi, who do I admire most in my family and why? And whoever picks the question has to answer, like, who do I admire? And then they have to talk, and you get to know so much about each other. Everybody that plays it comes back saying, whoa, we're like 10 dates ahead now. Like, it gets them to know the other so well. So this Mendel, by the way, that is on the 2-minute video, he's the one that created the app. So he did two. He did an app out of it, and it's called, you'll see it. It's written here somewhere. I'll pass it on. Anyway, so I covered that one. It's a great tool when you're dating. Cyber cleanup. I'm sure by today everybody knows to clean up your Facebook, clean up your Instagram, meaning get rid of things from 5-10 years ago, because, maybe you were in high school and you were somewhere and it wasn't appropriate. Like, we need to make sure, because you know what people do, and I did it myself. Whenever I had to make a shidduch for one of my kids, I put the name into Google. By the way, in case you didn't know about that, it's a good idea. So many surprises came up. All of a sudden, I find out somebody was previously engaged. Like, their engagement came, I go, whoa, they didn't even tell us that. Like, you get surprises. Or they were in a marathon and you see them, whatever, appropriate or not. The name could come up in Google and interesting things could be found there. So be aware of, social media. Make sure you clean up your social media, because besides Google, they're going to your Facebook, they're going to Instagram, they're checking, unless you did it already. I think by now everybody learned to
Sometimes it's the
clean
same
it
name
up.
and it's a cousin and it's not them. There's like misunderstanding.
Yeah, it's a hard one, but that's just a message I have to give you. I told you about research, and I told you that in my website you have 31 questions, open-ended questions that you could ask when making the calls. Some people call and just say, so tell me, is he coming? So they're good questions. They're all, what I tell everybody in the interview, take your 5 deal breakers and highlight 6 questions from those 31 that are to do with your deal breakers. And those are the ones you say, Ma, that's what you have to ask. Because sometimes the mothers are doing research and they don't even know what to ask, or they're asking just ordinary things and coming back and saying, I don't know. And then the kid is lost, if the mothers are doing it for them. So at least you could give them something and say, Ma, these are the questions you need to ask. So it's in there. Okay.
How many references should you call?
How many references should be on a profile?
No,
Should you call? At least 5, minimum. And you know what? Thank you for bringing that up, because ask every reference for someone else that's not on the reference. Say to them, who else might know him that you know? Because if they know him well enough that they're on the reference, they know somebody that's not on the reference, and you want to speak to those. So if you're calling 3 references, get 3 more non-references. Okay? That's a good tip, and I think I wrote it down, or I might have forgotten. Okay. My next tip is a WhatsApp blast. What is that? A WhatsApp blast means, and I did it for my kids alone, is only to close family and friends, not to everybody. People that care about you, like your aunt, your uncle, or your neighbor that cares about you, like the closest circle that you have, your own siblings and your immediate family and friends, okay? I say that on purpose. What do? You send them a paragraph once a month, and it says, hi, can you please stop for 1 minute and think about my daughter or me? Let's say it's you doing it and you need the shidduch, and think about me for 1 minute. Now, they're going to care about you, but everybody's busy in life. Everybody's busy. Everybody's doing something that they forget about you, not on purpose, because they're busy. So you remind them once a month, to people that are so close to you, even if it's 3 people or 5 people, and say, here's my profile, my updated profile. Can you stop for 1 minute and think about me for a shidduch, or my daughter for a shidduch? And so many shidduchim came out from that. People call me after and say, wow, that helped, because they all thank me for reminding them. They want to help, but they forget. And you don't want to be that nudge that says, by the way, my daughter's still... But this way you send out to like 10, 20 people, whoever. I had like 20 people on my list, and I would send it, and I'd get back at least 1 or 2 that would give me ideas. They'd send back names. So that works. Another one. To appreciate the shadchan. Everybody here, I'm sure, is in touch with one shadchan. I know this works. I'm a shadchan, and when it's done to me personally, it works. Maybe I'm materialistic, maybe, or I'm just a human being, but it works. One bacher that I set up, I didn't know until after I set him up on the date. All of a sudden, in my PayPal appears $100. And I called him and I said, what's for? And he said, everyone that sets me up on a date, I put in $100 for them. And I was so encouraged to want to keep working, not for the other 100. I didn't need more $100. I didn't need his money. But I said, you don't have to let that cover you for good. But that's such a menschliche thing to do. And then since that happened, I did it for all my kids. That was like half of the way of me doing shidduchim for my family. So the other half, I started doing that. The shadchan that came up with the name and set my kid up on a date, and they actually had a physical, like they went out on, whether it worked or not didn't matter. I gave them $100. And you know what? You don't have to give $100. You could give $18. You could give a box of chocolates, and it'll make the same impact. It doesn't have to be money. But shadchans work hard and long. And nobody knows except for shadchan, because we keep calling on them as if we're calling the doctor, that the doctor knows that he has to answer. But we're not paid for our work that doesn't work. We don't. There's hundreds of hours that we don't get paid for, and that's fine. Otherwise, we wouldn't do the work if it weren't Kodesh, for Hashem. But to get appreciation, that is the greatest gift you could do. So I'm telling everyone, for real, start showing some sort of appreciation to your shadchan, even if it's a text. Even if it's a text, make it nice. Like write a few words. Like, I'm really grateful that you thought about my daughter. Like write something, give something back. It'll motivate them and it'll make them feel good. You need them to keep working for you. You don't want to be on the nudgers list, but it really makes a difference. Okay? Be open-minded. I'm up to number 14. Revisit old suggestions. Old suggestions means a year or two ago, somebody might have given an idea, a name, and everyone said, nah, it's not shaykh. Maybe she was so young, she was able to wait a few years. Be open-minded to revisit old ideas, because I know about 10 couples that went back to an idea that was presented a year ago, and it worked a year later. So be open to that. Now, number 15 says the 2-minute video, and I told you all about that, so I don't have to go there now. Number 16, if a date did not work for you, refer the date maybe for a friend. I have, usually older people do this with me, like from 25 and old. They'll say, you know what, he wasn't right for me, but I know somebody that might be perfect for him. So I try to encourage people to come back to me and say, instead of saying, nope, it wasn't for me, I say, do you know anybody in your circle that he might be good for? You just dated him, you know him a little bit. And they refer somebody else, and it works. Quite a few of those worked. So try to refer, if it's not for you, refer someone else. I have a theory. You don't have to listen to me. It's just my 2 cents on dating, that during dating and engagement, you could do whatever you like. But I'm just saying what works and doesn't work a lot. No texting. So I'm telling it to mothers that are here to tell their children, in case you didn't know. But texting, even if you think you're mature, you're old enough, and you're 20, 30, whatever, texting can kill shidduchim. And I've seen it because I'm a shadchan. And I would say to them, so you're texting each other privately? And and he didn't answer me for 6 hours. And why didn't he answer me? And can you... They're so not emotionally connected yet that the texting comes out absolutely cold and raw and misunderstood and miscommunicated. And too many times the shidduch has broken up because they were texting. So I say stay away from texting except for technical information, like you need to give an address or pass on a phone number. You want to say something while you're dating, or you want to say something while you're engaged, pick up the phone and talk. Dial a number and say, hi, I want to tell you something.
That's okay.
Go back. Why not? Why not? It's called communication. But no texting. No texting. It kills. I've seen it. Okay? Here's a tip that until I told half, I'm so afraid of saying half now. Most, a lot of us will say, come on, that's easy peasy. But quite a few of us haven't. When I've said this, what I'm about to say, it's changed things for people. To try to keep your mouth shut as much as you can while you're dating and put all your effort into listening to the other. Sometimes a guy will come home from a date and say, I couldn't get one word in. She did all the talking, or the opposite. Like he didn't even ask me one question. He was doing all the talking. So I'm a dating coach as well, besides a shadchan. So I have to train him. Keep your mouth closed, and I want you to just listen. And listen without interrupting. And repeat back in your own words what they just said. That's active listening. So to a lot of you, that's very simple, but you don't understand how many times people come back from a shidduch, they're so enthusiastic that they forget to listen to the other, and especially if they like the other one, they'll keep talking, rambling, and the girl will be totally disappointed. He didn't even listen to me once. So we have to remember, it's a crazy thing, but we have to remember to keep our mouth shut and only talk when possible, like when it's important to. Okay. People ask me what are red flags that I should look out for. So I'm going to name a few while you're dating. Okay. 1, eye contact. If the person you're dating cannot have eye contact and they can't look at you in the eye, and you're doing it, you're looking in the eye and they keep turning, it's called a red flag. It doesn't mean it's bad, and it doesn't mean he's not yours, and it's not beshert. It doesn't mean doom. But it's called a red flag. That's a question mark. I call red flags question marks. You'd like to explore it further. Why doesn't he have eye contact? And what's behind it? There's something not stable going on. You just want to investigate it more, okay? Eye contact, super important. The next one. If he's always on time or 2 minutes early, great. But if he's always late, or there's an excuse and it's 10 minutes, it's 20 minutes, it's 30 minutes, and he's contacting you like, I got stuck with it. If his timing, if he's not on time, every time he's taking you out on a date, that's a red flag. He's never going to be on time as a father, as a husband. Just look out for it, okay? It could be okay with you if you like everything else. If that's not a deal breaker for you, fine. Now, if he has a secretive past, if he doesn't want to talk about his past, he keeps avoiding everything about his past, and he keeps changing the subject. I call it a secretive past. That's a red flag. You want to know what's going on. Not that he must tell you, but that's a red flag. That's something you want to explore further. Okay? And one last thing is healthy relationships. What are his relationships with other people? Like, does he keep telling you about... This is for you to look out. You don't tell him this. How does he get along with his father, with his brothers, with the people he works with? If he keeps calling everybody, whatever, swear word, or like, oh, my father, forget him, or whatever. Notice his relationships with important people, and that will call for a red flag or not.
Are children of divorce a problem? Or not necessarily? Is that
Sorry?
a red flag? If their parents divorce, is that a red flag?
Is what?
If their parents are divorced, is that a red flag?
That's up to you. That could, in the interview, I ask everybody, do you mind if they are divorced or not? And
But
some will
from
say,
your experience, does it
no,
affect?
it's a half-half thing. I'm not going to say 50-50.
Oh.
But some people mind and some people don't. It's really very personal.
I just want to say that if something bothers you, it's going to bother you forever.
Probably.
Okay? If the person comes on time and is very polite and pulls the chair out for you, opens the door for you, but his shoes are never tied and it irritates you, it's going to irritate
Probably.
you forever.
Probably.
And it might not be your basher.
But you have to decide if that's a deal breaker or not.
That's right.
Because you
That
might
you
like
have
everything
to-
else about him.
That's right. But if it bothers you today or it bothers you when the shidduch is read, chances are it's going to bother you.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Okay. I mentioned, yep, I agree. I mentioned about first reactions. When you make the research calls, look for the first reaction that they're going to say to you, right? And his first reaction on a date, like when you say anything, look for his first reaction, his facial expression, his body language. That first reaction is going to be the real one. And that's where we're up to number 23. Dating plateau. So on my website, I have 20 questions that you could ask yourself if you're stuck. Let's say it's all going well. You ever had that? I'm sure one person in this room had it, where you're dating and it's going well on paper, it's good, but everybody's saying there's no feeling, there's no hamshachas halev, or he says it or she said, whatever, you're stuck. You're dating plateau, we call it. You're not sure. So I created this list of 20 questions that will help you realize if he's the right one for you or not, if you can get over that bump. The teaser questions, the good questions to ask yourself. I ask it to people when they say, I don't know. It's all going well, but I don't know. So I said, let me ask you these questions, and I'll go through the 20 questions. It's on the website, okay? Number 24, parents have to allow the children. I have a saying that if you're old enough, so many times the parents are interfering with the children's shidduch in different ways. And I say, if your kid is old enough to get married, your kid is old enough to make that decision. I always use that phrase and it puts them right back into place. If your kid is old enough to get married, that they're going to be responsible for their life forever, then let them choose.
But if he or she chooses to be in this shidduch and to go forward, but his parent doesn't like the girl or the boy, what is the proper way of dealing with this?
What's the question?
If the parent doesn't like the boy or girl, his...
But you mean if they choose on their own?
Yeah.
And they find their own shidduch?
Shidduch.
At the end of the day, I had a situation recently, if you want to know. At the end of the day, the child is responsible for their future, and we have to accept it. And I had the situation recently where a girl chose her own shidduch, and the parents were not accepting it and don't ask what kind of months and months of rejecting and kicking the kid out of the house. And then they came to us and said, can you show us where the Rebbe says his take on it? We need to see what the Rebbe says about it. So my husband did a lot of homework over a whole week and found 5 letters of the Rebbe that said the child is responsible for their future and accept the child's whatever they want. So the kid is responsible, and it's time for parents to let them go and let them choose.
But should the parents tell their child
Of course, yeah.
their
You-
opinion?
You could say whatever you want, but at the end of the day, they can make their own choice. It's their life, and we have to let it be.
That's a very good point.
And the parent has to have siyata d'shmaya. You have to believe in the Eidishter, that if these two people found each other in a healthy way, and they see the positivity in it, you have to be the support, because you start negating things, you're going to be the woman on the outside, not the woman on the inside.
But sometimes the parents have more experience, and the kids just see.
But if they're old enough to get married, they're old enough to make their own choices.
Yeah, advice.
Well,
Next.
the parents aren't going out with the buffer and the girl, right? So they don't see the dynamic between them. So a lot of times
Oh,
the
that was a
buffer and the parent could be judging.
They're not dating the
I
person.
did a lot of Chasana, so I spoke to a lot of professional in college, so I heard about a lot about Shidduch. I'm just telling you from a face value where parents, the engagement almost didn't happen because the parents were giving them such a hard feeling, but they really felt in the dates confident and they felt comfortable with one another and they felt like they could connect with each other. So sometimes you have to just give that space and say, okay, they're the ones dating each other, they feel connected,
100%.
let them go.
And I think it goes
100%.
before
It's
that.
hard.
I think it goes before the dating, and I think it goes before old enough to get married, know what you want. Is that the children don't belong to you.
Right,
Children are only lent to you.
right. They're on loan.
Their zivug was decided.
We don't own them.
Before they were born, a baskol comes out and says, this is your zivug. Okay, you know what?
We
My
have to get
child,
used to it.
I
Most
have to raise
parents
my
don't
child.
hear that. Nobody tells them
They
that we don't own
pay attention to
them.
it because their
Yeah.
whole life, from the
Yeah.
time the child's born until they
But
walk
we don't
into the
own
club,
them.
and now and onward, they're trying to tell their kid what to do.
But sometimes it's good.
This is why parents don't get along with their children. You're not supposed to.
When is the time to talk to the parents?
Should I wrap it up?
Also, it's the thing.
Let me grab 2 or 3
When
things then.
is the time
Okay.
to talk to the
Can
parents? Can I just ask a question? When's the time to talk to the parents about the date?
Understand why you kissed them.
No way.
Understand why you haven't.
Yeah.
So should the people who go out, we're not in a rush, we really like to know this advice. When should the singles talk to the parents about the date? Before they talk to the shadchan or after? Who should they talk to first? After they meet?
Sorry?
When they meet, should they talk to the shadchan first or their parents about the date? Or it doesn't
Oh,
matter?
it's a communication. It's up to them. Okay, because it's getting late and I don't want to hold everybody so long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a couple things that I don't want you to leave without, like 2 or 3 things here. And if anybody wants to stay, then I'm happy to stay a little bit more. If you have questions, whatever. So I'm going to choose a couple things. I'm going to choose 1 or 2. Here it goes. And most of the things I already said, which is good. We covered most of it. Let me see which one. Keep the shadchan in the loop. I have a lot of times where they say, we're good on our own, and they let go of the shadchan, and it's not a healthy thing. I highly recommend you keep the shadchan all the way to the end, because there will be some sticky situations where people will maybe get it wrong, or the way it was presented or delivered, or the communication came out wrong because they let the shadchan out. So I'm just saying, very important.
I actually had a situation like that, and it's not good.
Yeah.
Like he said, we don't need the shadchan, and
It's not good. It's not a good thing. I highly recommend keep the shadchan in the loop till the end. And one more. Okay, let me tell you this one. It's called a scale of 1 to 10. So I think it's a great tool. Again, it's in the website, so you can find it there if you want. After each date, I would say to the people that I set up on a date, I would say, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how'd it go for you? 5 means neutral. Under 5 means not so good. 6 is good. 7 is very good. 8 is, oh my gosh, it's amazing. 9 is, we are it. This is it. And 10 is, we're going to the hill. Okay? So I would say to them, and I had situations where, very interesting enough, where the guy would say it's a 4 or 5, okay, it's even below a bit, and she would say it's an 8.6. And this would go on every date. He'd say, okay, I went up a little bit, the 5.5. And she's still 8.6. She's definite. From day one, she knew this was the right guy. True story. And he was struggling, and she had all the patience in the world. They went out like 10 dates. And finally, he climbed up like a 6.2. I know him. I know his personality. He's a very deep thinker. They got happily married, and everything worked at the end. But you'll have many times where you're on two different scales. Almost every time I'm sending people out on dates, they're on two different levels. Very few, they're exactly the same, like they're both on a 7, both on an 8. But it's a good tool to use. Now I'm going to share with you one more thing, and then I'll close out, say goodnight. One more way you could use this tool is between you and your friends and your roommates and your husband and anybody in life that's important to you. Let me give you an example. So I use this tool with my husband. Whenever I want something badly, we'll say, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it? And you have to be honest. If you're not honest, it's not worth it. So once he wanted to go with him to a bar mitzvah of one of his students, and he said, it's really important you come. Everybody's coming with their wives. And I said, but I don't know anybody there. And it's so boring, and I'm so tired anyway. And you should have told me yesterday, and I really didn't want to go. And he kept saying, but it's so important you come with me. I go, oh, let's do this scale thing. Who wants it more badly? So I said to him, how badly do you need me to go with you? And he goes, I would say an 8. We save the 10s from absolute emergencies. I'd say an 8, which is high up there. And I go, okay, now me. How badly do I not want to go? I suppose a 7.5, a 7 3/4. Okay, fine, I'll go get dressed. I'm going. And I'd go with him because I could tell by the 8 that it was so important to him. Another example, my daughter calls me up and says, Ma, I need to speak to you. And I go, I'd love to, but I have an interview 12 o'clock. She goes, no, I wanted to meet with you for coffee 12 o'clock. I go, I know this is really important to you, but I have this interview. What should I do? I can't change it. It's coming up in a few hours. I go, oh, tell me on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is this that you want to meet me for coffee? Because it was out of the blue. She just called me. And she says, it's close to a 10. I go, oh my gosh, this is serious. I really better do so. So I said, you know what? The second the interview's finished, I'll come and pick you up and we'll go for coffee. And she said, fine. But I got the sense from her, from a number, how important. It wasn't just her telling me it's important, like any. It really pinpointed it. So I'm just sharing with you a great tool that you might use in your future. Thank you so much for tonight. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Those that want to go can go and take a paper of all the notes I just spoke about. Don't forget to take a name to pray for. And thank you.
Не, я хочу досидеть, потому что
One second, she just raised her hand.
еще научится. А ты остаешься? Уже посмотрим. А да, ты бедно заскучала. Нет, ну действительно, кто меня будет это учить это? Тем более тут немножко осталось, смотря на это все. Parents listening, verify. А вот это она не говорила, 25-й. 25-й. Я думаю, она минут за 20 закончит.
Yeah.